Powered by the Connecticut School of Broadcasting. All Noise Radio is an internet radio station that's fully produced by graduates of the Connecticut School of Broadcasting. From modern rock to old school hip hop, country to classical, news, talk, sports, and more. It's the noise you can't ignore. Log on to allnoiseradio.com. Fire up the station. Find out more about your favorite jocks. Get the latest CSB news and more. Plus, you can take All Noise Radio with you on the go for free. Just download the Live 365 app to your iPhone, iPod Touch, or BlackBerry and search All Noise Radio. Check out tomorrow's broadcasters today at allnoiseradio.com. Powered by the Connecticut School of Broadcasting.
Sit back down and shut your trap. It's time for
Keeping It Sports with M3, right here on All Noise Radio.
Are you ready?
Are you ready?
Well, I'll need some beer.
Are you ready?
You have to ask me nicely.
Come on now, don't be bashful.
Are you ready? Are you ready for...
Place for the best sports talk and news surrounding each league.
I can prove it with my usual flawless logic.
Hey man, this time I'm gonna do it my way.
What's your name again?
And now, here's your host, M3, Mike Rosansky. All right, coming to you from Cherry Hill, New Jersey. It's time for Keeping It Sports with M3, powered by the Connecticut School of Broadcasting. Good afternoon, everyone. Hope everything's going well for you here on this Monday, the third day of February here in 2020. How you all doing out there? Hope you all had a great week, great weekend, or at least a better week than we did last week, as the sports world still mourned the tragic, untimed death of Kobe Bryant and 8 other victims, including his daughter Gigi, in that helicopter crash last week. And after how emotional, heartbreaking last week was, we needed something to get our minds off of it as sports fans. It wasn't going to heal the loss completely. It wasn't going to take away from the sting that was losing a sports legend, a sports icon like that. But just something to take our minds off things. And now I've always said, sports can be the great healer. It can be the great distraction. And that's what last night was. With Super Bowl 54 now in the books, as the Kansas City Chiefs end their drought, and their, I guess if you want to call it a curse, because they've had some unfortunate turns of events occur for them, not go their way. As for the first time in now 50 years, they are world champions. They're Super Bowl champions, with Andy Reid finally getting that monkey off his back. Patrick Mahomes solidifying his stature in the game as the next, great one, the next quarterback, the next player that's going to lead us into the next decade. And for both of them, it did not look great there for a while, because you knew it wasn't going to be an easy night for them. They were underdogs for a reason, going up against the team that's been the best team in the NFC all year long, in the San Francisco 49ers. And you're looking at how slow a start their offense got off to. And it's not like we haven't seen that before. We've seen it in the previous 2 playoff games against both the Texans and the Titans, where they didn't get off to the quickest of starts in the world. And you're looking at the other side with the 49ers, with Shanahan and Garoppolo running an offense with a lot of uniqueness to it, a lot of creativity, whether it be forward passes that look like runs with Deion Sanders gaining yards, using Tevin Coleman as a big factor in this offense when, quite frankly, 2 weeks ago, if you would have told me he was playing in this game, I would have been stunned with the way he walked off the field against the Packers, holding his arm in the fashion they did. They had to really shoot that thing up to get him ready, get him prepared for this game. And you look at what would look to be the downfall for the 49ers on the night is the fact that, yeah, they showed a lot of creativity with their offense in the first half, but they weren't willing to take chances. They weren't willing to, throw caution to the wind here and, take shots. For example, every fourth down opportunity the Chiefs had last night, they were taken. Their first punt wasn't until the fourth quarter. Mahomes takes that big hit by Jimmy Ward late there in the first quarter, and they still decide to go for it on fourth down. 2 plays later, they're in the end zone with the lead. But you're wondering, is things not going to go exactly their way when next time they get the ball? You get the interception by Brashad Breeland, and they wound up having to settle for a field goal on that drive, even after getting another fourth down conversion by Williams, because we see that field goals, A, are not going to beat a team in the playoffs, and B, how many times were they going to get the ball last night? Because you expected the 49ers were going to run the football a lot. You expected that they were going to have more runs than Garoppolo was going to have passes, and Jimmy wound up throwing the ball 31 times last night compared to them running the football only 22 times. And you're sitting there at one point in the first quarter, you're wondering, where is Raheem Mostert? Because you said to yourself, I get he's not going to run for 200 yards again. Though a lot of that was based off emergency last time around. You had lost Coleman early on. Didn't have faith in your third back. And with how hot Mostert had gotten, you stuck with him. He was the guy that carried the weight. You didn't have to have Garoppolo drop back and throw a bunch of times. And even when he was dropping back and throwing, or passing, it was design plays. It wasn't just like, he's going to stand back there, shotgun 5, 6, 7 yard drop back. No, it was, all right, let me get it under center, get in the pistol, play action, pass up the middle, those kind of things, make it look like we're going to run the football a lot, so you catch them off guard down the field. But it seemed like, Shanahan got a little bit too much in his head of wanting to prove that, hey, Garoppolo can win this game for us. Garoppolo can be the guy for us. After 2 weeks of hearing, Jimmy Garoppolo only threw the ball 8 times. Hearing that Jimmy Garoppolo has only thrown the ball, 19, 20 times over the course of this postseason altogether. It was like, Shanahan wanted to prove that he was the smartest guy in the room rather than go with what worked. I mean, you look at it, wasn't like you were down a bunch of points. Your defense got to stop after the Breeland interception. You were able to march right down the field once again and tie up the game with pass up the middle to the fullback Kyle Juszczyk. that actually won a buddy of mine a lot of money last night. So it wasn't like you were fighting from behind all night. You were able to play the style you wanted. And you knew with how cold the start Mahomes had gotten off to, he wasn't going to be awful all game long. You had to prevent him from getting back on the field. The more time he's on the field, the better chance he's going to wake up. He's going to come alive here in this game, and you're going to see the Kansas City offense we've seen for the last 2 years, because the thing about them is it's not like one score here, one score there. They score every couple of drives. No, usually when they score, it's like that. They strike at you in just a quick 3-4 minute span. Ask the Texans, ask the Titans. You keep giving them extra chances at life, they're going to keep taking that. That's why, it's confusing to me. At the end of the half, you have an opportunity to go into halftime with a lead. You have an opportunity to take control of this game, knowing that you have the football coming out of the second half. And what has been, you look at the last 20 years, the great dynasty in this sport and the greatest dynasty in all of sports, the New England Patriots. What has been, and I've brought this up many times, what has been one of the big calling cards of their dynasty? The fact that they defer to the second half, and seemingly somehow, some way, all the time they end the first half with the football and are able to pull off the double whammy. Score right before halftime, come out of the locker room, score again, and you're looking up at a double-digit deficit. Well, here, you've got the ball, tie game. You got all 3 timeouts. They're about to punt the football back to you, actually, and you let 45 seconds roll off the clock. Hell, everybody around the world is screaming, timeout, timeout, timeout. You look up in the 49ers box, their GM, John Lynch, is yelling, timeout, timeout, timeout. And what the hell is Shanahan thinking? I mean, what is he saving those 3 timeouts for? It's not like you carry them over into the second half. Do you think, I'm not allowed to use timeouts in the last 2 minutes of the half? That's what they're there for. Stop the clock. Give yourself a chance to come down the field. And you showed no confidence in Garoppolo to throw there. It feels like after the Breland interception, he had no confidence in him to finish the half, even though it kind of came back to spite you, because on your final, what would turn out to be your final play of the half, he gets that long pass connection down the field to Kittle. It gets unfortunately called back for offensive pass interference, a play that I thought was kind of questionable, considering, yes, he did do what it looked like pushing off with the left arm. But go back, a month ago, Kyle Rudolph at the end of the Vikings-Saints game did a lot worse than that to that little corner that was covering him on the walk-off touchdown, and that wasn't called there. So kind of an inconsistency there, but you use your timeouts there, you would have had more of a chance to connect down the field, more of a chance to take shots there, but he takes one shot on that play to Kittle, and who knows, if you got more time there and that's not called a penalty, maybe you take another shot into the end zone rather than settle for a field goal, and that would be one of their bigger problems. They come out the second half, you get the second half first drive, you get down into their red zone, and you, on a 4th and 2, you're settling for a 30-yard field goal instead of taking a shot. This is not, week 10 and you're worried about the playoff seeding or worried about costing yourself the game. this is the Super Bowl. In the Super Bowl, you got to be willing to take shots, willing to, do things that you wouldn't do in the normal games. I mean, look at Sean Payton. The reason we referred to him as a great coach is, 14 years ago, he was willing to take a shot, or 10 years ago, he was willing to take a shot against the Colts and go for an onside kick on the opening kickoff of the second half. And instead, you're kicking field goals. You look like you were going to get a mulligan when on the following drive, Warner gets the interception one play after the Mahomes fumble. Go down. Morstead gives you a 10-point lead. You got everything going your way. Following drive, start the fourth quarter. You get another interception on the tip ball to Tyreek Hill. Gives you the pick by Moore. And you're thinking, all right, 10-point lead here. You got, 11 minutes left to go in this game. But Mahomes is rattled. First time in 36 career starts, he's played a bad game. Having the worst game of his life at the worst time, the worst point. And you're averaging 6 yards per carry. You're thinking, all right, just run the clock out. Keep churning away here. Now's the time you get back to using Coleman. Samuel had been a beast for most of the night. You get Morstead more involved in this offense. But instead, over the course of the next 2 drives, you run 8 plays, and 5 of them are passes. Like, even if you get stopped at the line, even if you get no gain on the play, you know what? That play is still a positive play because you're taking time off the clock. You're putting Kansas City in potential panic mode, realizing that, hey, this is not Tennessee in the second quarter. This is not second quarter against Houston. We've got only half a quarter left of our season, half a quarter left of our football game. And you have Andy Reid looking at a spot of, once again, I'm not going to get it done in the big game, or a spot where everybody on social media that's not a media analyst was getting ready to throw eggs, mock Mahomes, because all last week it seemed that 85 to 90% of the people that you're seeing on TV, whether it be ESPN, Fox Sports, CBS, anybody analyzing this game was ready to crown Mahomes as a Hall of Famer. And here he is in the biggest moment of his life, having the worst game of his life. And instead, you let them right back into this game. A blown coverage against Tyreek Hill for that 44-yard completion. Then Moore, after having such a big moment earlier in the half with the interception, commits the PI against Kelsey, giving them the ball on the 1-yard line. One play later, he's getting within 3. And now this is where you started to feel it getting away from the 49ers, because they quickly flashed to the 49ers sidelines. You see the George Kittle somewhat hanging his head. Meanwhile, on the other sidelines, you've got Tyrann Mathieu, the Honey Badger, screaming at his teammates when they're down 10 points, screaming, "This is unbleeping acceptable. Let's bleep and go." You get the point there. He was furious, and that seemed to wake up something in this team. But as we always say, when a team's making a comeback, usually it relies on the opposition making some kind of mistake. Usually it relies on the opposition being stupid. And that's what the 49ers were over the final 7 minutes of this game. Stupid. You get the 3rd and 15 conversion to Tyreek Hill followed by the touchdown to Kelsey. Still only a 3-point game there. But on the following drive, you get the first down run by Morster, and then back-to-back plays. A pass that's far to Kittle's left, and then another pass that's deflected at the line by Clark. And thinking, even, as I said, even if you don't gain any yardage on those plays, you're either taking time away from the Chiefs or you're forcing them to use their timeouts. And just after they gave the ball back to the Chiefs, you could feel the momentum come away from them. You could feel the energy all on Kansas City's side. You get Watkins burning Sherman down the field. Sherman expecting to go outside. Watkins goes inside. And on the next play, you get the 3-yard touchdown run by Williams that they took forever to review. At that point, I was thinking, maybe they're going to come back and say, this isn't good, this isn't a touchdown. And even after that, even after blowing that lead, you still had another opportunity. You still had a chance to amend for your mistakes there. But on that long pass to Samuel down the field in which he beats coverage, Garoppolo overthrows him by 5 yards, and from there, it was pretty much game, set, match. You had the feeling with how the life had been sucked out of the 49ers that they were not going to convert the 4th down. If you give the Chiefs back the ball, they were either going to run out all of your timeouts or find a way to score again, and you get another touchdown by Damian Williams that essentially sealed it, followed by the Kendall Fuller interception to prevent the backdoor cover on the over-under there. And it was just a heart-wrenching, heartbreaking last 7 minutes of that game for the 49ers last night, led by a head coach who now has got demons to overcome here. When you look at, remember, Kyle Shanahan 3 years ago was the offensive coordinator for that Falcons team that blew a 28-3 lead to the New England Patriots. You say, it was 28-3, still in the third quarter, there's still a shot there, it's still a 3-score game. But when you're seeing them do dumb things like snap the ball with 15 seconds left, Matt Ryan still dropping back to pass there, and you're giving Brady more opportunity to get the football back rather than run the ball with, Tevin Coleman, who was one of your running backs on that team, to right here in this moment where everyone knows you have that demon that you're trying to overcome, and instead of going with what got you to the dance here, what got you to 13-3 in the regular season, got you the number 1 seed in the NFC. Yeah, Jimmy Garoppolo was good this year, but he wasn't the reason that you got to this point. A dominant ground game with 2, sometimes 3 running backs carrying the way. A pass rush that didn't require a blitz, giving some protection to your corners, able to play in coverage downfield. And Garoppolo not making mistakes, just kind of a passenger along the way. But it seemed like, Kyle Shanahan wanted to prove a point last night. And instead of proving that point, he comes away with egg on his face with another disappointing end to his season. And now, you're a 49er fan. Yeah, you've got 5 championships in your franchise's history. But you can never take for granted these opportunities. You can never take for granted the opportunity to go to the big game, the big dance, and have your shot at glory, because doesn't come around every day. It doesn't come around the chance to be Super Bowl champions. And for Shanahan and Garoppolo trying to prove he can be a winning starting quarterback without Belichick, and Garoppolo and Shanahan trying to prove that he is not the guy that blew a 28-3 lead. He's the guy that can deliver a championship. It was a disappointing, ugly night for both of them. Going to continue with more Super Bowl coverage or breakdown. Unfortunately, got to take a little breather here, but still got a lot more to go, a lot more thoughts to give on this game, as well as some thoughts by some comments made this week by Richard Sherman, by Deion Sanders. Tom Brady made some news this week, maybe mixing a little bit of basketball as well as we go along here. So for this Monday afternoon, sit back, relax, and continue keeping it sports with M3.
I'll be back.
You know, our jobs occupy more than half our waking hours. Shouldn't we be doing something we love? Call Connecticut School of Broadcasting at 1-800-TV-RADIO or log on to gocsb.com. Since 1964, Connecticut School of Broadcasting, with a network of 12 campuses from Massachusetts to Miami, has helped place thousands of grads as DJs, sportscasters, entertainment reporters, behind the scenes in audio and video production, every aspect of the broadcast media. Connecticut School of Broadcasting has trained men and women of all ages and backgrounds in a matter of months, not years. Learn by doing from area radio and TV pros. Call 1-800-TV-RADIO or log on to gocsb.com. Remember, it's never too late to love what you do. Day and evening classes begin soon. Get trained. Get connected now.
All right, welcome back to Keeping It Sports with M3 on this Monday after the Super Bowl. I tell you, I'm really jacked up after that game last night, and because I didn't look at the totality of this game as a all-time great game. To me, it's not going to go down in the annals of Super Bowl history as one of the great games we ever seen. But altogether, it was a very good showing last night. From the commercials, which were the best that they've been over the last couple of years here, to the halftime show with Shakira and J-Lo there, which how anyone can have some negative critiquing on that is beyond me. And then most importantly, the game. It's with everything that goes on around it, sometimes we forget that the game still is the most important thing. And you had a little bit of everything when it came to this game. The Chiefs, who are the team that normally come out everything scripted, with Andy Reid usually scripting somewhere around the first 15 to 20 plays of this game. They came out with a very conservative play style, not taking deep shots down the field early on. Everything was seemingly in front of the defenders, but also willing to be aggressive when they had fourth downs in the red zone, unlike the 49ers. Andy Reid realizing that this could possibly be not only his best shot, but you never know, his last shot. Because you never know if you're going to get back to this game. You never know if you're going to have another opportunity. Remember, Dan Marino, in his second year in the league, went to the Super Bowl. Everyone thought he'd be back a million times after losing that game. never got another sniff at it, never got another crack at the big dance. So, and after losing in the fashion they did to the Patriots 15 years ago, that he knew that, yeah, I'm 61 years old, but I'm not getting any younger here. I got this all-world quarterback, but as we've seen, the injuries can happen at any time, and you knock on wood, hoping that this kid is great for the next 10 to 15 years here. But still, you never know what could happen. I mean, everything broke right for Kansas City during this postseason. From the fact that back in the regular season, they went to New England, beat them, got the tiebreaker on them when it came to playoff seeding. No one expected it to happen, but the Dolphins go up to Foxborough and knock off the Pats in Week 17, giving the Chiefs a first-round bye and forcing the Patriots to play on Wild Card Weekend. The Titans knock them off in the first week, so that eliminates one of Andy Reid's demons of his past, Belichick and the Patriots, having some of his worst moments of his career against the Patriots, whether it be the aforementioned Super Bowl 39 or last year's AFC title game. To then coming back from a 24-point deficit in the second quarter at home. Not only you come back in that game, but the night before you get a break with the Titans going to Baltimore and beating down on the Ravens, giving you home field advantage for the AFC Championship game. So in a year where everything broke right, and when that kind of opportunity doesn't come around to every day, you've got to take advantage of it. You got to strike while the iron is hot, because you never know if you get this kind of chance again. And that's something Kyle Shanahan's probably thinking about today. If you gave him some truth serum, because this is a team that won 2-3 games last year. A lot of that because they were without Garoppolo, who got hurt early in the season with the knee injury, so you didn't know what to expect from him coming back this year. But you made upgrades on the defense, led by drafting Bosa, trading for D Ford, who didn't have the biggest of impact last night, but still made up for it with your other pass rushers, with Buckner, Armstead, and with Bosa. Seemingly, especially Bosa had a lot of pressure on Mahomes in the game, but the problem was that Shanahan's play calling was different in the second half compared to the first half. First half, you're seeing a lot of exotic runs. You're seeing when Garoppolo would drop back to throw, you were seeing a lot of play action, a lot of creativity down the field, getting your fullback involved in this game. One of the few teams that uses a fullback anymore. But in the second half, it seemed to be a very much, bland, very boring offensive scheme here. And to not, when you have a 10-point lead like that with 7 minutes to go, to not take advantage of your strength, not take advantage of what got you to the dance here. Because part of the problem with the back-to-back scores for the by Kansas City here was the fact that the 49ers weren't taking much time off the clock. Incompletion stopped the clock, and in between the two scores, you only took about 45 seconds off the game clock, so you weren't giving your guys much of a time to rest, recuperate there on the sidelines, so you weren't able to get the pass rush you had early in the game. was allowing time for Watkins to make the play down the field and burn Richard Sherman. And we know at this stage of Richard Sherman's career, if a receiver gets even one step on him, past him down the field, he's done for. He doesn't have that closing speed he used to in his younger days, especially since coming back from the Achilles tear. So to not play smarter than that, drain the clock. As I said, even if you get stopped in the backfield, as long as the clock is still running, you are putting pressure on the Kansas City Chiefs. Because remember, they essentially iced the Chiefs for about an hour there when you take into account the last drive of the first half, the 45-minute halftime show with everything that went on from the performance to the breakdown by the Fox crew to then the long field goal drive to start the second half. I've always said when you have long drives, when you have the ball for an extended period of time, not only are you tiring out their defense, but you're getting the opposition's offense rusty. Keeping them off the field for a long amount of time is taken away from their effectiveness, taken away from their explosiveness. And they had gotten off to a slow start for the most part, but when you give them even just a sliver of hope, you crack that door open even the slightest bit, they're going to take advantage of it each and every single time. And now these are demons that Kyle Shanahan is going to have to overcome. He's going to have to sit here now for 6 months until the start of next season wondering, how can I get back to this point? Because it's not an everyday occurrence that leads you getting back to the Super Bowl. Plus, you don't know how good the other teams around you are going to be. I mean, no matter how bad we think Seattle is coming into a season, they always seem to surprise us and play above their heads. The Packers, while there's more of a defense, run-oriented team, you got to think they're going to look for some kind of weapon to add there, give Rodgers another shot at getting back to the Super Bowl. The Cowboys, they have a better head coach there. Got to see if they are able to come to some kind of agreement with Prescott and are able to bring back Amari Cooper. The Saints, does Drew Brees come back? If he does, there's still a threat to get to the Super Bowl. And even if you get back to the Super Bowl, Kansas City may be waiting for you again. Or you might have Baltimore waiting for you. Or if who knows, Bill O'Brien turns out to be a better GM than he is a head coach, they have a shot to get there. So it's no given thing that you're going to get back to this point and get another shot to win this next year. So Shanahan's got to think about that. Garoppolo's got to think about that overthrow to Emmanuel Sanders that could have made him a hero in 49ers lore forever. That would have been the catch part 3 right there if he has that play, if he just takes a little bit off of that, because Samuels had them beat. He had Sanders, had them beat. He had a good foot and a half on both of those defenders downfield, and Garoppolo just overthrew them. And hopefully for now, this calms down all the Jimmy G nonsense. I said before, win big, do something big, and then you can get the nickname. Then you can be talked about as a great player, because for now, he just seems like a passenger along for the ride. And, even for someone like myself who I said, I had no rooting interest in this game. I just wanted a great game. I wanted to be entertained throughout this game. I didn't want a a repeat of what happened in what was it, Super Bowl 49 between the Seahawks and the Broncos, where one team just blows the other out of the game. I didn't want a repeat of last year where it was just a defensive minded game all throughout. I wanted to be intrigued, entertained all throughout, and there were a bunch of different twists, turns last night. As I said, it will not go down as a classic, but it will go down as a game we're talking about for a long time, with all of the stories in this game, especially when it comes to Mahomes playing his worst game of his life for the first 3 quarters. But when it mattered most, he woke up, and that Chiefs offense showed their explosiveness. And Shanahan and Garoppolo just couldn't handle the big spot in the later stages. But I will say this, I'm happy for Andy Reid. This can end any of the talk of him being a choke artist. This seals his Hall of Fame fate, his Hall of Fame legacy, which really shouldn't have been questioned to begin with. All right, going to take another break here. Come back on the other side. There were some interesting things brought up this week by some people that don't have a problem with talking, expressing their opinions here or there. So we'll get to that on the other side. As always, if you are watching the live feed, you can always call in at 856-330-4749. Feel free to do that at any time. And just be sure that you keep continuing to keep it sports with M3.
I'll be back.
It's been 48 years Connecticut School of Broadcasting has helped place thousands of people, just like you, in exciting careers in radio, television, and the new media. At Connecticut School of Broadcasting, our hands-on approach is different. It's designed to have you spend less time in the classroom and more time in the studios. From the first day, you'll work with state-of-the-art equipment. Learn by doing from our team of industry professionals who come from their studios to ours. The best part about it, you'll learn it all in a matter of months, not years. Connecticut School of Broadcasting has a network of 12 campuses from Massachusetts to Miami. Remember, it's never too late to love what you do. So do what I did. Call 1-800-TV-RADIO. Step into the fast-paced world of the broadcast media. Day and evening classes begin soon. Connecticut School of Broadcasting. Get trained and get connected now. Call 1-800-TV-RADIO or log on to GoCSB.com.
Yeah, I think it's just speculation at this point. I think it's the owners using the media and the way owners use the media to try to control the rhetoric. And I don't think it's something that players are interested in, honestly. And if that's the point they're negotiating on, I think these negotiations are going to go a lot longer than anticipated, because it's odd to me, and it's always odd when you hear player safety is their biggest concern, and they're really standing up for player safety, but it seems like player safety has a price tag. Player safety up to the point of, hey, 17 games makes us this much money, so we really don't care how safe they are if you're going to pay us this much money to play another game.
That right there was the voice of one Richard Sherman, and a lot of people out there have unfairly at times labeled him as a guy that talks too much, somewhat of a loudmouth. But to me, more times than not, other than when he got into the back and forth with Darrelle Revis back in 2012, more times than not, this guy shows how well educated he is, how smart he is, how he thinks about the things he says before saying them, and doesn't just blurt out random stuff, random comments. And the comments he was making, there was obviously talking about the rumors of the season extended to potentially 17 games. The Players Association and the league have been in discussion over a new collective bargaining agreement for a while now, And one of the things that the owners have wanted is to extend the season to a 17th game. And from everything I've heard about this, it would be one less preseason game or two less preseason games. You play your 8 home games, 8 road games, and then that 17th game, wherever it may fall during the schedule, would be a neutral site game. Maybe, we've seen games played in London, seen games played in Mexico City. Maybe you see games in other places, in places here in America where they don't have a pro football team, where they're more known as a college football area, but you give them a chance to make a lot of money in that area by having a lot of people from both fan bases, depending on the teams there that week, to come into town, go to the game at a non-traditional NFL site there. So, I understand that point of it. But as just a pure football fan, I'm 100% on Richard Sherman's side here as far as not wanting a 17-game season. And I'll go into it a little more after you hear this from Sherman, which I thought was also very interesting about this.
They think that players have a price tag on their health, and I don't think we're in the same ballpark in that regard. Players have been more aware of player safety and longevity and just life after football. The league, kind of pretends that they're interested in it, pretends that they care about it, makes all these rules, fines all these players, but then still proposes to players to play an extra game, and not just 17. They're really just saying 17 so that they can get to 18. And so that's 2 more opportunities for players to risk their bodies, to put their bodies on the line. And that's what's so ridiculous about it, and nobody calls them out. Nobody calls out the hypocrisy. And I'm hoping that one day, people will be brave enough to call out the hypocrisy of saying, hey, we really care about player safety, but hey, we also want you to play an extra game, put your body on the line, and risk your career.
Well, hey, it sounds to me that one day is right now. By Richard Sherman speaking, you have an active player making this comment saying, hey, I don't want a 17th game. The financial gain might not be worth the potential long-term risk here. And we all see it. The owners and Roger Goodell are hypocritical when it comes to the player safety, hypocritical to just protecting the shield here and making themselves look good by they bring up the words player safety, thinking that's enough to calm down the public, calm down the players, but then they still want to add a 17th game. A 17th game doesn't take away from the risk of injury. It only adds to the risk of injury. I mean, you saw this year, what was it, the number of concussions that occurred during this season. I think I saw it went up from like 210 to 224 over the course of this year. And Goodell tried talking about that when he made his annual State of the Union last week, or State of the NFL last week. He talked about that almost like it was a positive, saying that, oh, we're very much into player safety. Then why do you want the 17th game? Because part of the thing the players want is, as you see the what you call it, the revenue sharing in the league. When it comes to the current state of the revenue sharing, you have it where the pie of, as far as all the money the league makes every year off merchandise, off TV, off commercial, everything, off all of its sponsors, is divided not exactly in half. It's about, 51% for the owners, divided up amongst them, and then the other 49% is divided in 32 ways, and that determines the salary cap each year. So what the owners want to do here is they don't want to give the players a larger percentage of the pie here. They don't want to edge it toward 50-50, which it should be. And it actually should be over 50% for the players and less for the owners, because they are the attraction. They are what we flip on the TV each week to see, not the damn owners sitting up in their luxury boxes and not hearing the likes of Jerry Jones have a press conference outside the Cowboys locker room after every game. The players should be having the larger share of the pie than the owners. But the owners are saying, all right, we'll add one extra game as far as chance to make money, and that will, rather than giving you a larger percent, make sure that we don't lose any. We just, both sides gain something. And, Sherman put it best. They only care about the league's player safety if it means making them more money. To them, it's just like, all right, we don't care if you get hurt. There's always someone that comes along that can replace you. So I'm glad that finally someone is not being just politically correct here and is actually coming up, making a statement saying, hey, this is a bunch of bull crap here. The 17 games is nonsense, and you keep talking about player safety. A lot of people disagree with Sherman all the time. I don't know how you can disagree with him on this point. And, a guy that, is always outspoken, always throws his 2 cents out there, it is arguably the greatest corner of all time, Deion Sanders. Prime time. He had some interesting quotes last week that I'd like to get to right now. These comments are via Dan Patrick's radio show, so let's take a listen here to this. Hold on. There we go.
What is a Hall of Famer now? Is it a guy who played a long time? It's so skewed now, I don't know what's what. Once upon a time, a Hall of Famer was somebody who changed the darn game, who made you want to provoke you to reach in your pocket and pay for admission to go see that guy play. Forget the rest of the team. You wanted to see that guy. That's not a Hall of Fame anymore. Everybody, Tom, Dick, and Harry, you're a Hall of Famer. You're a Hall of Famer. You're a Hall of Famer. And they let everybody in this thing now. It's not exclusive anymore, and I don't like it.
Now, hey, I've been saying this for a long time when it comes to these Hall of Fames. Mostly, my opinion on that has been directed toward the Baseball Hall of Fame. I don't like how people are campaigning for it, campaigning for their buddies to get into the Hall of Fame, because as we all know, you put those 3 letters, HOF, in front of someone's name, that means a bigger financial income in your post-playing days. The Hall of Fame is supposed to be for the best of the best, the cream of the crop. It's supposed to not be. It's not the Hall of very good. The Hall of Fame means greatness, meaning you are the top level of your craft. And we saw greatness on display pregame yesterday when they brought the all 100 team, the All-NFL 100 team out on the field and was introducing them pregame. Those who are fortunately still with us were out there. And you didn't see very many guys where you're looking around and saying, he was great, he was Hall of Fame. You didn't see anyone where you had to question it. And that, if I would have played more there, Deion would go on to talk about something I've always said. If you got to sit there, you got to think about the guy being a Hall of Famer. They're not a Hall of Famer. My only issue with his comments is I wish that he would have listed names. I wish he would have listed guys and said, he's not a Hall of Famer, he's not a Hall of Famer. I wish, if you're going to go to a certain extent with the comments about the Hall of Fame allowing everybody in, put someone's name there. Say who you don't think is a Hall of Famer. And for the most part, I agree with what Deion said. I just wish that if he was going to make those comments, he would have came out and been definitive about it rather than walk around it saying, no, they're allowing everybody in the Hall of Fame. Who's the everybody you're talking about? Just give me a name there, and I would feel a little bit better about what you're saying. All right, I'm going to take one more break here, come back on the other side. A couple more things I want to talk about, want to address before we close things out here for the week. Continue keeping it sports with M3.
I'll be back.
Connecticut School of Broadcasting founder Dick Robinson.
You know, the media business has changed a lot since we opened our doors in 1964. Now media content is everywhere, on air, online, on the go. More than ever, companies are looking for people to help drive this new media.
At Connecticut School of Broadcasting, you'll get hands-on training on the latest software and equipment in a matter of months, not years. Connecticut School of Broadcasting has placed thousands of grads in broadcast media careers.
It's all about versatility. You see, at a radio station, if you also know how to shoot, edit, and post videos, you become a pretty hot commodity. That's the training you get at Connecticut School of Broadcasting.
Connecticut School of Broadcasting with locations up and down the East Coast from Massachusetts to Miami. Call 1-800-TV-RADIO or log on to GoCSB.com. Connecticut School of Broadcasting, the nation's oldest and largest group of broadcast media schools, redefining training in radio, TV, and new media. Get trained. Get connected. 1-800-TV-RADIO.
Welcome back to Keeping It Sports with M3. A couple more minutes left here, but a few more things I want to talk about this week, get off my chest. Because, believe it or not, there were a lot of things that you may have seen off the field or that you may not have seen that occurred off the field over this last week. Like, one piece of news that I saw was pretty interesting. Jay Glazer of Fox Sports was talking about some of the different quarterback situations coming up in this offseason. We've already seen the relationship between Phillip Rivers and the LA Chargers is pretty much over. Well, there are two more future Hall of Famers that there's been discussion about in the last week. One is with the future of Drew Brees. Drew Brees, for him, it's pretty much back to the Saints or retirement. And he's at least given the most serious thought to retirement that he's had in recent memory. And the guy is, 40 years old, going to turn 41 over the course of the next year here. Or the course of next season, excuse me. And Jay Glazer was talking about how they want Drew Brees back, but they believe that Taysom Hill could be a franchise quarterback. Because remember, right now, to end the season, they had under contract Drew Brees, Teddy Bridgewater, and Taysom Hill. In all likelihood, someone out there is going to give Teddy Bridgewater a shot. He's going to be for this free agent market what Nick Foles was last year, where some team that believes they're close to winning is going to throw some money at him and give him an opportunity to be their starting quarterback. Will it be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? The Tennessee Titans, if they think he's a better option than Tannehill. The Chargers, if we all expect them to draft Justin Herbert, but if they don't decide to go that route, they could decide to draft Bridgewater because he's still a young guy. But for the Saints, if they lose Brees and in all likelihood will lose Bridgewater, they view Taysom Hill as a guy that can step in there and be their next starting quarterback, which is kind of a dicey proposition for them when you consider this guy. He's played very well for him since they claimed him off waivers from, I believe, the Packers a couple of years ago. They started him off as just kind of a special teams guy, and from there he became a gadget player for them. They sometimes put him back there when they were taking deep shots down the field. Used him at receiver. Ran some fake punt plays with him. He's become kind of a Swiss Army knife kind of player for them on offense and special teams. But it almost feels like they're ready to just push Drew Brees out the door, because Glazer also said during the interview saying that they view 2020 as a transition year. Well, I mean, once Drew Brees, you better hope that Taysom Hill is as good as you think he is, because once Drew Brees walks out that door and Taysom Hill becomes the guy in your minds, you're playing with fire there. You're going to an unknown. You're going to a guy that has never had the responsibility of being a full-time starting quarterback, relying on that responsibility placed on his shoulders. And you never know how a guy will crack under pressure in that spot. Now, another future Hall of Fame quarterback decided to make some headlines, make some news over this week. And this guy annoyed the living crap out of me. I got to be honest with you. Tom Brady, the nonsense that he pulled on Thursday night with his tweet. Now, I know as it would turn out that the tweet that he put out there, the picture of him standing at the edge of a tunnel in a football stadium, would be part of a Hulu commercial, promoting Hulu has live sports, him with the catchy phrase at the end saying, "I'm not going anywhere," kind of playing with the Patriot fans' emotions. But the way he posted it, when he posted it, posting it on Thursday night at around 6:30, where you're still early enough in the day that on the West Coast and Central time zones, they're still in their afternoon talk shows. You're still early enough for East Coast shows to talk about. It's still early enough for it to make one of the three prime sports centers of the night with the 6 o'clock sports center. And to not, if he would have put a caption with the picture saying this Sunday and with that pic, I would have had no problem with it. But posting that picture, being that cryptic like that, we all know that his time with the New England Patriots, it's either about to come to the end, or in the next couple of years, if he re-signs, it's coming to the end. He's been very mysterious about what his future lies. And on a week where it's not about him, it was about the Chiefs and the 49ers, to post a picture like that when we don't know it's supposed to be part of a commercial, and B, everyone's wondering about your future, wondering about what you're going to be doing down the road here. I just didn't think was a good look. I didn't think was a smart idea. And you knew it was going to make all the stories the next day. You knew everyone was going to be talking about it, talking about you at a time where the story wasn't about you. I mean, I get, Brady was bored at home. It's the first time in 9 years that he had this much of the month of January off. He had been in 8 straight AFC championship games, or only the second time in the last 6 years where he wasn't involved in Super Bowl Sunday. He had been involved in 9 of the last 18 Super Bowls, and you couldn't have given somebody their shine for at least a couple minutes. I said, it wouldn't have been so bad if you put a caption to it, but not doing that and just being cryptic like that, I thought was unnecessary. And hey, we all ripped Alex Rodriguez for opting out of his contract during the World Series in '07. If he can be criticized for doing that, then Brady is definitely not above criticism for doing something like this. Now, as I said, in this last week, we needed the Super Bowl. We needed this to take place because it has been such an emotional week around the sports world. I started last week talking about how it should have been a celebration of the NBA with LeBron passing Kobe and the debut of a new phenom in Zion Williamson. But instead, it was turned into heartbreak and tragedy. Tragedy, most unfortunately for all the families involved, all of those who lost a loved one. Not just the Bryant family, but to the families of the other 7 victims that were on that helicopter on that unfortunate morning 8 days ago. But the players over this last week have done a phenomenal job at honoring Kobe's memory. I mean, I took no criticism, should I say, in Kyrie not playing the day of his passing, or last Friday night when the Lakers played their first game back at Staples Center. I couldn't blame Carmelo Anthony not playing in that game. No, even though he had played in a game since then, if you saw Carmelo Anthony's Instagram post, you can understand him not being emotionally up to playing that game, because he thought he had talked to Kobe just days before his death. He had found out that Kobe was going to be at that game. Kobe told him he was proud of him for not giving up, for persevering and coming back into the league after everybody seemingly giving up on him for about a year there after his time with Houston. And he's come back with the Trailblazers, played well, and got them back into postseason contention. So I can understand that being emotional. I respect what you've seen some of the players do. Some of them who were either number 8 or number 24 have switched off those numbers, unofficially retiring the number for Kobe Bryant in their minds. You saw what the league has done for the NBA All-Star Game, where Team LeBron is going to wear number 2 jerseys in honor of Gigi, and Team Giannis is going to wear number 24 jerseys in honor of Kobe, with everybody wearing a patch that has 9 stars on it to represent the 9 lives that we lost in that crash. But the one thing that needs to be expressed here amongst all else is we all want to honor Kobe. We all want to honor his legacy. We all want to respect and pay homage to his legacy. But we also cannot rush to it. We also can't, because this is still so raw in our minds, still so, you sit there and you think about it and you're like, you think it's a bad dream that you're waiting for someone to snap their fingers or yell into your ear very loud, praying that you're waking up from this, praying that you wake up and it's all over, that Kobe would still be with us, that the Bryant family and 3 other families weren't going through this emotional heartache, emotional heartbreak. But unfortunately, it is real. It did happen. And I love what the Laker fans did outside of Staples Center with all of the things that they put out, all the items, the walls, writing, paying their respects to Kobe, Gigi, and the others. But let's just not rush. Let's not rush to saying what should be done, because then when time passes, you're going to look back at it and say, oh, was that the right thing? When the right moment hits, when enough time has passed, the wakes, the funerals have occurred, and as we begin to heal from this, the league will know the right thing to do. Whether that is changing the logo from Jerry West to Kobe Bryant. I know Jerry West in the last week has said he would like it to see get changed, but don't rush to it. Or naming an award after him, which would be a great thing to see. I've seen some people suggest maybe the Mamba Mentality Award, but let's just not rush to it. Take time, let everybody ease up, begin the healing process, because then, and only then, we will be able to honor Kobe and all of those lost in the correct, proper fashion, rather than rush to some drastic, quick moment thinking that we could come back and later say maybe we need to step back from. The time will come. It's just not right now. And that, my friends, is Keeping It Sports with M3 for Monday, February 3rd, 2020. Everyone have a great night, and I'll talk to you guys again same time next week. Peace.
We have to go. Good night, everybody.
I have had enough of you!
Thank you for all the fun. Thank you. Hey, shut up, will ya?
I don't want to see you, I don't want to hear you, and I don't want to smell you. Now leave. I'll be back.